Alright, I guess we can forget the idea of Rashaad Penny after Nick Sirianni doubled down on Kenny Gainwell. Although one guy we haven't seen so far looks like he's about to get significant playing time. Plus, great news on Jalen Carter and Cam Jurgens. Yet not so much for Nolan Smith seeing the field. And Jalen Hurts has had enough. But first, let's run it. Hey guys, in case anyone's new to this channel, I'm Josh and I cover the birds. So let's start with Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy, who said during his press conference yesterday that he's looking forward to visiting Philly with a great environment, although Santa Claus hasn't looked the same since. However, it's still a cool place to compete thanks to all the friendly people.
All right, kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Kiss your ass.
Okay, sure, yes, McCarthy was obviously being sarcastic, but let's just make sure we bring the noise Sunday and have Micah Parsons regretting his comments about turning the Link into a Dallas home game. Speaking of friendly people though, Jalen Hurts was cordial when asked about his knee injury.
Anything new with the knee? Feel better, feel worse, different, anything? Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks. It's worth a shot.
All right, I'll be honest, I don't necessarily mind the question, since remember, Fox's Jay Glazer reported Hurts is dealing with a significant bone bruise in his knee. And who knows when that injury happened, whether it was the opener versus the Patriots when he fumbled and then was slow to get up, or the following week against the Vikings when trying to make a hard cut. Of course, some may point to the Miami game since he certainly started showing a limp then. Regardless, Jalen and the entire staff have admitted he's injured, yet oddly enough, QB1 hasn't popped up on the injury report. Now sure, I get it that the media asks some really ridiculous questions at times, so it can get a little tiring. And I wouldn't have blamed Jalen if he went with the Marshawn Lynch response.
I'm here so I won't get fined. I'm here so I won't get fined.
Look, either way, whether you're on the media side, which you're probably not, or Jalen's side, it could be a good thing that he's hurt. At least that's what the Inquirer's Marcus Hayes argues, writing, he's better because he's able to run less and asked to run less, along with fewer run-pass option plays and fewer designed quarterback runs. Also because his offensive line knows it needs to form a conventional pocket for a manageable amount of time before he will, like a normal quarterback, unload the ball and live to fight another day. He tends to linger in the pocket longer, trust his reads and receivers more completely, and abort plays more willingly. As Hayes went on to share, Hurts' passer rating in games 1 through 6 this season, pre-brace, was 84.7. He ran the ball 10.5 times per game. Hurts' passer rating in games 7 and 8 was 123.9. He ran the ball 7.5 times per game then. Okay, I'm sorry. First off, I have a problem with Marcus saying like a normal quarterback. I mean, the NFL has changed. But sure, if you're talking about a stand-in-the-pocket tendency, I can understand the argument, yet no way I agree. Yeah, maybe the small sample size indicates Hurts is better, but that's literally only 2 games. And I think it's crazy to say Hurts, a guy who can be a threat when he decides to run the football, is better when he's hurt. Come on, you're surely with me on this, right? Now, I'd agree with you if you said Hurts is better whenever it matters most, since Jalen's registered a 72.7 completion percentage, 1,361 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions with a 118.7 passer rating when tied or trailing. Of course, as you see, he's not been nearly as good when the Birds have the lead. No clue why that is exactly, but thankfully it hasn't cost us. And Jalen expects that to improve.
I remember sitting here in the same room as a rookie or as a first-year starter and saying, things weren't going great, but I said experience was the biggest teacher. That doesn't change. That is that's the truest thing. So when you experience things, reality is times have changed, but mentality has never changed. Time has changed, but mentality hasn't. And so the more you experience, you'd hope the better you work, the better you grow, or the further you go with the work that you put in. And when you see these different things out there and you have more experiences to call on, it's definitely always helpful.
All right, I know Jalen can be pretty boring at times during interviews, but I love the focus, especially this week with Dallas coming into town. Fortunately, we'll get another Jalen back with Jalen Carter being listed as a full participant on the injury report, and I'd expect him to make a serious impact on Sunday. Now, we'll have to see about some of the other guys in the trenches like Jordan Davis and Milton Williams who were limited at practice, as well as Sua Opeta and Cam Jurgens who had his 21-day practice window open, and I talked about this a little bit on a previous video, but based on Sirianni's comments, I'd expect Jurgens to give it a go against Dallas. However, if Beef Jerky and Opeta can't go, then we'll most likely get a look at Tyler Mean-Steen, which wouldn't be the worst. The other questionable injury that might be a little alarming at this point is slot corner Bradley Roby, who's been out for 3 weeks with a shoulder issue but was listed as a DNP, meaning the shoulder must be worse than initially thought or just not recovering as quickly since the Eagles didn't exercise the option to send him to the IR. Speaking of the IR though, reports are suggesting that tight end Grant Calcaterra will likely miss some time after suffering a concussion, and Sirianni admitting the group will take it extra serious given the fact that Calcaterra had a concussion history in college that caused him to step away from the game for a while. So with Jack Stoll also dealing with an ankle, it looks like we could finally see Albert O being activated, which those of you that watch the channel know I was a fan of Big Al when he was initially traded for, especially with his great playmaking ability and crazy athleticism, while grading as the 8th best tight end out of 75 players who registered at least 250 snaps last season. However, just in case you're not aware, based on various analysts and reports, the dude definitely lacks in blocking ability. I don't know, as much as I'd love to see AO out there, I'm kind of thinking it'll end up being about 5 to 10 plays. Yet whatever it ends up being, Big Al said he's ready and has been focused on doing everything he can to come out and prepare every week like he's going to have a big role, and to keep practicing hard and making plays. So hopefully we see him. And I would say hopefully we see running back Rashaad Penny, except, well...
Yeah, he's the number 2 because I think I was asked about this too, and I said there's things that you don't see that were obviously in practice. He's our number 2 because we believe it right now. He's the second best running back on our team. That's based off games, that's based off past games, that's based off practice, that's based off the whole body of work, not just and I obviously understand where that question is coming from, but I didn't get this question last week when he ran over 2 guys in the Miami game and got into the end zone because we were all singing his praises.
Look, I don't mind giving credit. The run against Miami was great, and kudos to Kenny for getting him for 6. But like Brandon Lee Gouton shared, Kenny Gainwell, among 39 running backs this season with at least 51 carries, has a PFF grade of 39th, yards after contact per attempt 39th, pass blocking grade 33rd, yards per route run 31st, 39th out of 41 running backs in success rate, and 42nd out of 45 running backs in rush yards over expected per attempt. Which, yeah, I know I've been a Kenny Gainwell hater, but those numbers speak for themselves. However, Outside the Birds made an interesting argument since I also agree that Gainwell's the best blocking back on the roster, and Philly still likes Gainwell in the passing game, both as a blocker and receiver, but they don't want to make it too obvious that they're passing whenever he's on the field.
I will loudly announce that we are not going to attack, and then BAM! We attack!
I mean, I'm all for keeping the defense honest, but as you all know, I would love to see Penny get even a few carries. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen anytime soon, yet I'm going to trust the coaching staff and wait a little bit before I freak out. But I'll admit that's easier said than done, especially after Nick touched on rookie Nolan Smith's lack of playing time behind Derek Barnett.
He's in a deep room. He's in a very deep room with 3 guys last year in particular that had 10+ sacks. He's getting good reps there on special teams, and making some plays there on special teams. So again, not anything that Nolan has done where we're really excited about Nolan and the possibilities that he has as a football player. He's just in a very deep room, and sometimes you get in the flow of the game and you ride the hot hand.
Okay, I'm sorry. I am going to lose it now.
George is getting upset!
You knew it was coming. And I'm with this dude who said every snap Derek Barnett takes over Smith is a crime. But at least the silver lining, if you want to call it that, is that at least one rookie's getting more playing time, with defensive coordinator Sean Desai announcing Eli Ricks would play more frequently starting this week, and saying, I think Eli's been humble, he prepares like a pro, and he's learning. He's like a sponge, and he just wants more and more information. Of course, like we talked about earlier, with experience being one of the best teachers, Ricks is about to get some good experience matched up against Dallas wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, who despite a slower start to the season has been on a tear his past 2 games, hauling in 19 catches for 275 yards and 2 TDs, leaving some, like Les Bowen, to question the move, saying, some, not all, Eagles fans are hilarious. You saw Eli Ricks make a few plays in 1 game, so now you want an undrafted rookie covering CeeDee Lamb. Meanwhile, James Bradberry, a key part of this D for the last 2 seasons, had a bad game on the outside and is now a bad player? Well, sorry Les, because Bradberry's been bad on more than one occasion this season. However, I'm not ready to just call him a bad player. But to say Ricks isn't ready for CeeDee Lamb after locking up Tyreek Hill is a little off to me. Alright, maybe I shouldn't say locked up, but Ricks was solid in his limited chances with 3 targets and 0 receptions allowed. Plus, how else is he supposed to gain experience if you're not willing to put him out there? I don't know. Personally, to me, I like the matchup with CD, especially with his physicality, but what about you guys? I mean, I will say at least it aligns with Kevin Byard's keys to beating Dallas.
I would just say that it's going to be a lot of intensity, not only coming from the fans, but on the field as well. I think for us as a team, we're going to have to out-physical them. We're going to have to play more physical. I think the more physical team, 2 teams that obviously want to impose their will on teams. Whoever does that the best is going to win the game.
I agree with that, and despite the secondary not playing super well recently, I think that we're going to be much better and come away with a turnover. So go ahead and let me know in the comments who gets the first turnover for the Eagles on Sunday and what quarter that ends up happening in. And if you get it right, I'll ship you an Eagles jersey of your choice. But again, you have to make sure and enter the player and the quarter. Or if you want to win 2 Eagles tickets, right now when you sign up for any level of membership from now until the end of November, you'll automatically be entered into a drawing for 2 tickets to any remaining regular season game on the schedule. Alright, also want to mention a noteworthy injury for Dallas that could certainly affect the outcome of the turnover giveaway. With Bleeding Green Nation reporting, Dallas's starting left tackle Tyron Smith was limited in practice on Thursday, so with his status uncertain, it's worth noting that Smith's top backup is also injured in Chuma Edoga. I may have just butchered that. Anyway, he was limited in practice on Wednesday also, so if neither Smith nor Edoga can play, the Cowboys could be down to rookie 5th round pick Asim Richard at left tackle. Well, in that case, it's perhaps a Sweaty J game then. Since Josh Sweat has the 3rd most pressures in the NFL, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with Sweat for the first turnover in the 2nd quarter. By the way, I can't thank you guys enough. Over 25,000 subscribers since starting the channel just over 8 months ago. Y'all are the best, but you already knew that. This has been the Philly Special.